Welcome to our 8th episode of the Roo Code Community Hours. My name is Hannes Rudolph. I'm your community manager here at Roo Code on Discord and Reddit and such. And this is our guest, Piko. I ran across her the other day, her YouTube video. She posted it on our subreddit, and I thought that she did a great job of helping explain how to use Roo Code and get it set up. So I will post a link, and here you can introduce yourself.
Thank you so much. Hi guys, my name is Piko. I fell in love with Roo Code very recently. I think it's brilliant, and I love how creative it is and the community behind it. And I just shared a video explaining how it works the way I understood it, because I thought more and more people should learn about it. That's all. I have a YouTube channel where I make tutorials
Yep.
because coding is awesome.
Cool. Well, I guess today we're going to do a bit of a question and answer format from the community, but I do get a lot of the same questions from people over and over. And so if we want to start while we wait for people to roll in here, if you want to start by asking me a few questions, doing a bit of an interview style. then-
Yes, I would love that. I have so many questions. Okay,
okay.
so like I've said, I've discovered Roo recently, and I was mind blown. I really couldn't believe that you could do that much with a Visual Studio Code extensions. Not to mention, while it remaining free and open source. I wanted to ask you a little bit about how Roo Code came to be and how come it's so wonderfully adaptive.
Well, I think I could blame a level of that adaptiveness on uh, our parent. Uh, uh, well, where we came from, we forked from Klein, and they did an excellent job at giving us a foundation to uh, build a more customized version, which is, Roo Code has become much more than just a fork of Klein. And how it came to be was there was a group of people at a company called Ruvet who needed to write, I believe, integration tests, and they uh, wanted to use Klein to do it, and there was no uh, auto approve button. So they added it. They made a pull request for the auto approve button, and that pull request turned into more pull requests, and then that fork um, just spawned a life of its own, and it became Roo Code.
That's amazing. That is so wonderful. So basically, Roo Code was born out of a need, right?
Yes, absolutely. It was born out of a need using AI to be more adaptive, and quite frankly, it's been largely coded in AI, not straight up vibe coded, but every step of the way, it does a vast majority of the actual coding.
Okay, that's awesome. And how about you, Hannes? How did you come to join the Roo Code community?
Well, I was trying. I have a small business, a carpentry or a renovations handyman business here in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and I was trying to make a piece of software to make it easier to manage my customer interactions. And I was using Klein to do that. And that's when I met Matt Rubens, who is our lead dev. I met him. He's the founder, I guess you could say. Yeah, he's the founder of Roo Code. And he and I became good friends, and then I ended up getting involved in helping manage the community on Reddit and Discord. And next thing you know, I still manage my small business, but I don't go out in the field anymore, and I work full time as the community manager here at Roo Code.
That's awesome. And I've heard that you're very active in the community, and I think it's amazing because you're running a business. And I wanted to ask you, what does it mean to you to run a community, and how does it feel?
Well, running a community, I love to help people. It fascinates me to see people the light turn on in their eyes when suddenly they realize that AI isn't a gimmick. Like they can really do stuff. If they're a seasoned developer, they can use it to totally superpower super um, um, like a superpower in their workflow. And if they are just new to coding, they can use it to do things they never imagined they could do. Now, I will warn that, making a piece of software when you don't know how to code is an amazing thing, but you do need to be careful. Obviously, you know this, but I'm saying this to viewers. You need to be very careful because it's really easy to screw up and make a piece of software that is not secure. And it can be very frustrating if you don't learn to code or how to read code and the logic of programming to try to troubleshoot things. You can end up in a world of confusion and sometimes very expensive if you are using a paid service.
Yes, that is so true. I keep reading nightmare stories that start out very happy. Like someone shares, I've coded my dream project and it's amazing. And then it got hacked 2 days after it went live.
Yeah,
Yeah. And a lot of the time that's because they vibe coded it and they forget to, well, they don't know about security best practices in order to follow them. And yeah, there are so many uh, hazards, right? When it comes to vibe coding.
absolutely. 100%. Should we
Yeah,
do a live stream of maybe a vibe code tool? Make something?
sure. Okay. But I want to start with a disclaimer that I am not a very seasoned vibe coder.
Yeah,
I
yeah. I mean, I can give it a shot first and show you how I would do it.
okay, yeah, sure. Sure.
Okay, let me find that
That would be
share
cool.
screen button. Why is the share your screen button? There it is. Okay. And make a selection. Share this window. Is that showing up? There we go. Okay. So let's go into orchestrator mode and set, we really need to add a button just to set all the modes to one. Um, because sometimes I like to use different models for different modes and sometimes I don't. Okay. We have a logo here. And this is one I've done before. Let's
Oh,
make a next JS um, app where logo bounces around the screen like a DVD icon. Make it fancy. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, questions. What do we call ourselves? I guess they were asking who you were and you answered them.
earlier. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then more questions. I prefer Roo to other similar tools for many tasks, but it's pay as you go token model and it can get very expensive over time. Is there a more cost effective way to use it for extended or heavy usage? I will answer it, then you can answer it if you like. Um, I would say that you get what you pay for to a large degree. If you have a project that is making money, then to me it makes sense to pay and make that money back. If you're working on a start, your dream idea or a hobby project, then I think that Pico has some much better. This is something actually that her YouTube video covers. So if you'd like, go ahead.
Yes, that is true. So, as someone who's very new to vibe coding or giving AI control and basically allowing it to write code for me, I was so scared of how much tokens I would have to use. So I decided to first test it with a completely free API. Well, to be honest, it wasn't. That wasn't my first go. First, I lost a lot of money by trying it with Sonnet, and then I was like, you know what? Let's use it with something free. And Google Gemini offers amazing, generous free tiers that you can test out. There is Google Gemini 2.0 Flash. It's not the best coder, like compared to Claude. It's not very intelligent. It doesn't come close, but you can test it out and you can play around with Roo while you test it. And, once you feel comfortable, you can test out other APIs. Also, from what I understand, you can, if you have Copilot.
Oh, I don't know what has happened. She has cut out. I think we did lose her. So then I'm just going to blab until she comes back here. This Discord is just not doing what I want it to do today. Well, I guess it's just a regular day then. I'm a biased disclaimer. I am biased as a Google developer. Oh, there you are. You're back.
Yeah. Sorry.
Nope.
Okay. So
Okay, you cut
where
out.
were we?
I think you said something about Copilot.
Oh, yeah. So from what I understand, you can use there's you can get some tokens from Copilot with you know what I mean? Uh
Yes, you can
wait.
use the Copilot API. That's correct.
Yeah, exactly. So you can try out Sonnet, but there's a very limited package you can try, right?
Well, yeah. OpenRouter has actually quite a few great free options as well.
But you have to put $10 credit at first, right?
Yeah, which isn't so bad considering what you get out of it. They give you quite a number of requests. Ellie, welcome.
Hello,
How's it going?
Hey.
I am good. Thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome. This stream continually fails, so I don't know if I can do it. It today on my recording computer, it just keeps biffing it. Typical Discord. It shows my screen perfectly until we go live.
Yeah, the stage is a bit buggy. Like I had a few occasions where we do a stage live and some people just cannot see the stream, so it's just Discord thing, I guess.
Yep. Can people see my stream right now? I think I'm going to end it and reopen it and see what happens.
So
Okay.
Ali, tell us about yourself. I mean, sorry.
No, yeah, Ellie's one of our
Um,
community contributors. Go ahead.
yeah, I'm I guess one of Roo Code's community contributor. I mainly contribute to the UI part of Roo Code because I don't really like how Roo Code looks when I first start using it. Particularly the context mention. So when you press add, it shows suggestion, right? And I don't really like how we had it before, where it just shows the file list and without any other formatting and with no icons. So it's a bit hard for me to read. I just sort of contributed that, and people seem to like it. So
Yeah.
also it's a fun activity for me to do, and I keep doing it. Also because Hannes has been giving me like open router credits for me contributing, so I keep doing that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And what do you do with those credits?
I use that credits mostly for contributing back to Roo because it's genuinely fun. It also helps me to do my side projects. I have a few of them. So yeah, it's been really helpful.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Um, I actually, one of the reasons I love coding so much is because of the how it feels to contribute to open source and how beautiful it is to see people working towards a shared goal and improving it together. I think it's a very good view of humanity, like you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
think.
really like.
Go ahead. Sorry, I cut you
No,
off.
no, sorry,
You
sorry.
first.
I think I really like contributing to open source because I don't know, it's really great to see a lot of people working on stuff for free in their free time towards a certain goal. Like the effort they put in, it's I don't know, it's kind of it's a bit heartwarming to me. I love
Exactly.
doing this thing. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's very beautiful. Like, what do you think, Hannes?
Um, I I was drawn to the open source aspect because it seems when people have their downtime, they really like they have passion when they give. Working with people is great, but working with people that have a passion in something is just absolutely awesome, and that's what I get to do now every day, which is fascinating. And we have uh, full intention to keep Roo Code a free open source tool. Um, People often ask, how are you going to monetize? How are you going to make money? And I think a lot of people sort of worry that, when is the day that they start charging for it, right? We've all used software that is absolutely software we depend on, and it's great. And then one day they switch to a free and a paid tier, and then one day they just have paid. Um, and that is not what Roo has any intention of doing. At this point, we are looking to monetize through offering support to enterprises, various companies. We've had, for example, on our podcast here, if you look um, at our YouTube channel, we had a guest from Netflix, um,
Hmm.
where they use our software, and so companies like this or much smaller even. We want to offer them help with onboarding, paid support, and tools to help manage their large language model usage, reporting, various aspects that we want to do with Roo Code Cloud. And so this is still something that we have not officially released. Um, uh, and so I don't want to let too much in on it, but it'll we'll see it soon. But it's not going to be something that's going to make a two-tiered system where all uh, the contributors we have here get a sort of crappy version of Roo Code. That's not how we're going to do it. We appreciate that the community has given so much, and we want to continue to give back.
Awesome. So from what I understand is Roo really cares about staying free and open source, right?
Hmm. Yes, you nailed it. 100%. That's what we want to do.
That's amazing, and it's great to hear. And yeah, I wrote a Reddit post yesterday, and
Yeah.
I was so afraid that everyone is gonna think it's so cringe because in the post I wrote that I want to fuel the revolution, which is a term that I made up combining Roo and revolution because I really do see Roo as revolutionary, uh, because because right now because right now there are so many, I feel like there's an AI tool monopoly to an extent, right? And a lot of the biggest tools are made by huge companies. Oh, sorry.
No, keep
You
going.
vibe coded something cool. No, my ADHD, something shiny is going on. So what did you code? What did you vibe code?
Well, I don't actually know what's going on here. I don't know why there's two, and I don't know what's going on with this. Um, Proceed while running.
I
Okay,
love this. What is this? I love it.
just a DVD bouncing around type thing. Here I'm going to add code compression. If anybody hasn't seen, anybody's watching, there's a new experimental feature. Actually, not code indexing isn't the one I'm going to go over today, but this intelligent context condensing. It is absolutely handy. It uses a custom prompt, or you can set a custom prompt to condense your code. You can do it at a threshold, or you can do it. I'll show you how to manually trigger it. I'm just going to go to another one of my screens and steal the prompt that I've modified um, so that I get a better outcome. This is something that you can do. We are evolving this 100%. But I'm going to use my own and see what happens. Okay, so save, done, and it says that we are completely done. We have 8,000. There's really not a lot to compress here. There is a context compression button right here, which will take this chat and reduce how many tokens it uses. It will squish it down.
Oh, that's awesome.
We have a whole lot more details about it. I'll leave a link in the YouTube video, but it basically turns the entire chat into a summary, and then you can just keep going. No need to start a new task with it. Okay, anybody else struggling with modes which insist on switching instead of using subtasks? Um, I just disable mode switching, and we are working on a roadmap now for additional boomerang features, and hopefully going to start implementing them in the near future. You know, piecework one at a time. So one of those is to stop having nested subtasks. Okay, so how should we improve this little? I mean, I don't like this thing in the top left.
Okay,
Let's,
so explain the idea to me. I mean, I love it, but I wasn't paying attention earlier. So, what's the idea behind this prompt?
um, okay, so all I wanted to do is I wanted to see if when I told it to make the Roo logo bounce around, what would happen. I said make it cool. In this
And it
case,
just added the edge hits like
it,
on
it,
the corner. It made that up.
yes. So I'm going to take this prompt. I'm going to say let's remove the stats and remove the secondary bouncing, and then I'm going to hit the prompt enhance button here, and it's taking a moment here because it's using Opus. You can set your prompt enhance down here to use a different model if you like, and you can also customize your prompt enhance prompt.
Any tips about because I feel like you're a bit seasoned with Claude and the different models Claude offers, right?
Yes.
So can you
Well,
tell us more about which models are good for which use cases?
well, recent typically Sonnet 3.7 up until last week was one of the gold standards when it comes to just getting stuff done. Now, with the release of Claude 4, we have Sonnet 4 and Opus 4. Sonnet 4 is excellent. It has two variants. Well, it has one, but you can enable reasoning or thinking. And there's Opus, which is 5 times more expensive, but that's what I'm testing out here. It just gets stuff done. So what I noticed when using it yesterday is I had a lot less turns. So it was more expensive for the tokens it used, but it used less tokens is anecdotally what I'm saying. I haven't run in-depth testing yet. I just started playing with Opus yesterday because before that, every time I tried, I was just there was rate limit errors and I was getting impatient.
Oh, I see. Okay. So I saw a comment by Randall Schwartz. The layering of good prompts is important to getting LLMs for the right tasks. What do you think about that? And
Um,
how would you
yeah,
explain the layering of good prompts? Because I'm new to this, kinda.
I haven't heard it being said as the layering. I mean, The context which Roo is going to have in a task you create is very much driven by um, what you start off with. What you say to
Mm-hmm.
it will guide it. By default, Roo can see your environment, so it knows, what operating system you're on, what windows you have open in VS Code. It doesn't see the content of them without reading that file, and it can see what files are in your workspace. Um, so those file names and what files you have open are a hint as to what is going on, the context. But how you prompt. If you just say something like "fix the red button," that is a uh, much different than saying, "Look over in this file, and in this file we have this, etc., etc. Make this change." And so, if you understand code, if you're an actual engineer, you can really direct it and get these prompts narrowed down so that you get success right away. If you want to just say make all the buttons red, it might work. It's more likely to work if you enable the experimental indexing, which I will also link in this video. I'm not going to go too deep into it right now. But that is not best practice. I mean, it's neat to see it do something when you say make all the buttons red, but it's better to be concise. And this enhanced prompt button here allows you to clean up your language. You can maybe you just want to type in shorthand, and you can then go edit this and this prompt that cleans up your prompts to react to specifically clean up your prompt in a way that you want it to. Right? Maybe you type a certain shorthand or something like that. And so these customizable features really take the default version and bump it to the next level. I know people want the default version to just do everything, but we are trying to make the default settings more and more effective. But at the end of the day, um, having these customizations allows you to really superpower, give your workflow superpowers.
Sounds awesome. Could you like give me an example? Like what kind of extra prompts or enhancers would you add for different tasks?
Well, oh, I didn't mean to hit start new task. Let's go back to this one. Sorry. Um, there is the default modes don't yet have a when to use field. So if you're getting into Orchestrator, which also is not the
Mm-hmm.
default mode, it is one of the default modes, but it isn't the first one when you use Roo. Um, then you can go into, oh, I guess for the stream I didn't show them. You can press this button up here, the prompts, and you can add when to use. So when we are in, or let's just make sure we're going to code. Okay, so we're in code mode. Um, we can say, okay, describe when this mode should be used. It helps the orchestrator choose. And so we can say, only use this. Oh, there we go. There's a bug. Only use this when coding, not debugging. Uh, you could say something like that, and it has vanished on me. Um, I'm going to get that fixed. Next stream, it won't be like that, I swear. While it's moving, it keeps resetting the state back to what it started as. So you can set that for the various default modes, and this will help the orchestrator focus on what you want it to do. This is a way you
Okay,
can customize prompts or prompt behavior within Roo.
I see. Yeah. I have seen that and I thought it's absolutely, awesome and inventive. I wanted to ask you about what we were talking about earlier, like the enhanced prompt with additional context button. You know, those little stars.
Yeah.
Um, when do you use it?
Okay. So I am doing this here, and I do not like what we've started. I'm going to back up and um, let's go out of this. I liked how it was, so I'm going to say um, I liked how it was. Um, had a cool, blurry, um, bouncing logo. Now it just has the clean, sharp one. Totally not a good prompt. Terrible prompting. Um, let's hit this and see what happens. Come on. Taking it sweet time. Opus is not super fast, but it is quality. And it's damn expensive.
Yeah, that is
Wow, it's really
scary.
taking its time. I don't, yeah, maybe it is timing out. Um, okay, maybe we switch well, I guess we can get around that by changing what prompt or what model it uses. Come on, retry on us. I'm going back in here. I'm going to hit this again. Okay. I strongly preferred the previous version with its dynamic motion blurred bouncing logo animation that created an energetic and playful aesthetic. The current implementation has replaced this with a static crisp logo that lacks the distinctive character and visual interest of the original animated design. That's not quite accurate, but it's a way better prompt, so I'm going to go with that.
So it just literally fixed your prompt, or it tried to
Yes,
fix it, right?
yes.
Huh. Wow,
Yeah.
that is so cool.
And I am going to enable checkpoints. I don't have them enabled because I was running evals on this machine. Okay, so let's look at some questions that people have here. Somebody asked about deleting default prompts. Um, I'm not a huge fan of deleting default prompts. We are looking at the ability to disable them, but usually what I do is if I want, I just replace them with a custom mode with that same slug. So code mode, debug mode, etc. And most workflows, or all the workflows I have, use these a code mode, a debug mode, an architect mode, and an ask mode. So I just really overwrite them instead of what's the term? Instead of deleting them. And this is available on our website. Clear instructions on how to do this. I will link that in the video as well.
Okay.
Okay, what happened with the? I don't know what they're asking me. Could probably implement a desktop automation script. I don't know what happened with that conversation. I don't know which conversation that person is referring to. Let's see if I have more questions. Do you have any questions while I dig these up?
I do. I always have questions.
Okay.
Uh, okay, so I can ask you, and I can ask Eli, or anyone is welcome to answer my question. It's about transitioning, or okay, how do I start this properly? So I myself have just started experimenting with vibe coding. Well, what I do is more of guided coding because
Pair pair
uh,
vibe coding.
yeah, yeah, because I like being in control, but I don't see the point of, having to write every word myself when AI can help me with that. So I wanted to know about uh, your experience, anybody's experience, everybody's experience, how you guys started. If you were coding without AI, and how did you transition? And if you have any advice for newcomers.
So you're not new to programming. You're just new to tools like Roo.
Yeah, well, I'm new to having AI very close and personal with my code base. You know what I
No, that
mean?
makes sense. Yep,
And
absolutely.
and I wanted to know, for example, Eli, you seem to be, well, I don't know you, but I'm guessing that you're a programmer and that you use Sonnet to help you contribute to Roo, which I think is awesome. Um, Tell me, how did you go from not using AI to using AI, and how did you go about that? How did the journey look like?
So I was not using AI to fully automate a lot of my stuff like most people did probably. But what I'm doing is that I usually pick out which task that is too tedious for me to do manually. Like I know the solution of this problem, but it would waste my time. I just ask the AI to do it for me. So for example, I have this refactor, right? I need to remove this feature that I don't need. I know how to do it, but I really don't want to spend a lot of time for that. I think it's a good starting point if you just getting started to use AI, because AI can get wild if you're not giving it the right prompt. It will do a lot of stuff to your code base. So starting on small tasks that you already know what's the correct output would be, which is removing the feature, is a good start. So you can ask it to remove that feature in particular, and then you can check the
Hmm.
result, and then you just use it more and more, and you'll start to get used to prompting, and you can get more elaborate. Like for example, if you want to do something, you ask it to come up with a plan that you can review, and then ask it to execute that plan, and so on and so forth. And another example would be ask it to look at your existing code that you do manually, because I have this project, right? It's my side project that I built using Roo, and I asked it to look at this specific page to tell it like this is how the UI should look like, and I want this page to follow that page UI. So basically, giving it as much reference as it needs, because the thing with these models is if you give it good input, like good context and good prompts and whatnot, it will output good result as well. But if you are being not clear with your prompts and you're not giving it enough context, you won't get anything out of it. So yeah, I think start small, and then you have to slowly move towards more elaborate task. And yeah, that's basically it.
That's very informative. So there's a learning curve. Like it's not very steep, right? It's not like learning a new
Yeah,
language, but
nope.
definitely prompting is there's a curve to it, right?
That's what I think.
Yeah, I think you're
And
spot on there. Okay, somebody
I
asked
agree.
about what did he say? Any best practices for long running coding sessions? Would like to provide end goal and have Roo develop a solution which it achieves without stopping. Um, there are uh, if you're starting a project from absolute scratch, then there are some projects in our community uh, section on our website that talk about this. Um, yes, we're all speakers now, and they help to define that project and then just run for 11 hours and get it done. If you're looking to work in an existing project, it is not quite as straightforward because your existing code base acts as a guide um, to the model's understanding, and it can derail that quite easily. We are working at getting Roo Code to do this better and better, but my experience with agents that have a just a start and an end human interaction is that they're hit and miss and often don't do what you need them to. So we are trying to develop our agent process to do that better and better, but I don't want to rush it, and we don't want to rush it and say, "Oh, look, we have this thing. You just press start, and the end." Every time these products are released, I try them out, and I dump them into Roo, and I say, "Okay, here's a issue or something like that. Fix it." And I come back, and it's 46 minutes later or whatever, and it does not solve it how we want it to. So my opinion is that they've got the infrastructure on these processes worked out, but they're not doing, they're not there yet. And so I don't want to sell Roo to people, or to convince people to use Roo so that they can come on and get a subpar experience. I want to try to guide them to the most effective experience for them, especially since Roo is generally not cheap when you load it up with the high quality models and you want output now. Here, Chun,
Okay.
you're on the mic. This is our vocabulary author.
Oh, I've heard of you. Hi. Oh, we
Did you?
can't
Oh,
hear
nice.
you.
Your mic is very quiet.
Is it? Oh, sorry. That's
You're still quiet.
intentional. Now it's louder.
There we go.
Yeah, there we go.
So okay,
Hi.
I ran into Pico here. She posted on our Reddit, and she used the term revolution, and
Nice one.
she is not aware of the vocabulary that you built, and so I don't know if you call it a Rictionary
Revolution.
or vocabulary or what, but we should also link that in the video and make sure to add in revolution.
Yeah, how come we didn't catch that one?
Well,
Because I had to write it down, you know. Now you have. Now you've caught it.
Now we have it.
yes.
Thank you, Pico. It grows and grows.
I honestly thought everyone was gonna be like, "Oh no, this is so cringe. What do you mean by revolution, you weirdo?" Because I wrote like at the end of the post, "Viva la revolution," and then
Viva la
I
revolution.
posted, and I was like, "Oh no, what have I done?"
So
So
you're
I'm so
telling me
happy you
that
guys like it.
you weren't aware that we often use puns in our announcements and such?
No,
Huh,
no,
that natural fit.
That's ridiculous.
no, I
Did you
just
say
felt.
ridiculous?
Ridiculous.
Oh my gosh.
No, I had no idea, and I thought, oh my god, everyone's gonna think I'm so cringe because I said revolution.
Nah, it makes us special.
Yeah, we do it
Yeah,
all the
no,
time.
it's awesome. It's awesome that you guys have a rouge. How they say it? Ruditionary, rudiction. I don't know.
Vocabulary.
Vocabulary. That makes so much more sense. I feel so silly. Vocabulary.
Okay, so it's all the rumors. Thanks. People are really starting to kick in. This is going downhill fast, everybody. Human in the loop coding will always get better results because ultimately you know what you want to do and can clear up any misunderstanding of whatever spec you wrote to start. Now, I agree that currently, if you want the best results, that's how you do it. I think a lot of people are moving towards this process where they go, look, I'm just gonna give it a prompt, press start, go have a coffee, come back, and see what it did. And I think a lot of people just check if it worked. They don't actually look at it. Um, then if it didn't work, they might tell it to fix it. And if they get tired of that, they might just undo it and redo their prompt or give it the same prompt and press start again. Ultimately, their human in the loop is, if it worked out how they wanted it to, is the beginning and the end, maybe a few times, instead of a 3-hour process while they're working through this, paying attention to it, pulling it back on track here and there, that kind of thing.
Sounds like people who do that have a lot of money, right?
Well, I mean, I'm in a basement and there's a refrigerator and a freezer behind me, and I might do that.
No, I'm joking.
sometime.
I'm joking. But I mean, because I have heard stories of people just going for coffee and coming back, realizing that the bug, they ask whatever route to debug, and it runs over and over in a loop, and it costs them $200. You know what I mean? And they've accomplished nothing other than they're short $200. So I think it's It's a little bit like gambling if you're just gonna let it run because,
Yes,
you
and
know?
I will admit that I'm constantly doing that as an experiment because I adjust the process or I try it with a different modification that somebody has made to Roo, and I want to see the outcome. And I often dump it into a pet project I'm working on that is intentionally a mess because I want to put Roo in a terrible environment. I know people are going to do it and they're going to come to support and tell me Roo is broken. And so, what if you could put Roo in a terrible environment and it wouldn't be broken? Maybe it would clean it up. Anyways, this is just like a fantasy. But I mean, Roo didn't exist just the other day, I swear. So this fantasy is not going to be a fantasy for very long because every day I try different things and different models come out and it gets, I'm certain it gets closer and closer. Opus 4 has been an absolute leap to being able to ask really quite vague things and just give it the time, especially with the experimental indexing we have. Um, and it gets it done. So that's really, really fascinating to me. I would love to institute guardrails that allow you to use the vibe code process, but have a secondary cleanup process that makes sure you have just certain test coverage and certain security checks and things like this. Because
So
vibe coding
for
is quite
that,
attractive. Go ahead,
the
Michael.
when you talk about guardrails and other things, I think if you truly want to get the vibe coding and do something and walk away and come back an hour later, you can't just leave it to run on its own. You have to scaffold your tools. So if you start off a session and you go in ask mode and ask it to how do I implement this feature, create a checklist, on what to do, and then you have it say create a bunch of checkboxes next to that. You can't just leave Roo alone with that document to go and trust it to do it. If you write a simple script that reads that document and pops off the next task, almost like a queue, and then you kind of scaffold that and say, okay, so run my little program that pops off the next task, and give it the program that runs the queue instead of just the document that has the queue, then you can leave it running and trust that it's actually going to pop off every single task in your document and check them off. And so scaffolding and setting up, and so then your pop off task could, or your pop off program could also have built-in settings to run an MCP server and get other information. So in a couple current projects I'm working on, I have a quality pipeline that runs all my linting tools, runs all my to-do lists, runs off everything. And so I can trust that I can leave it running for the next couple hours to just run this one simple program in orchestrator mode and then give me all these to-do lists. So for
Yeah.
example, it runs linting, it runs MyPy, it runs all these PyTest things. And then the internal quality control app runs it sorts the lynching results and everything, and then adds a critical status, high status, medium. And so then when it pops off the next task, if the previous task created a code soup, then it'll start sorting everything. And then it's got curl set up and a deployment server. And so if the build fails, it runs and pops off the next
Hold on, I
task,
have a
and it can
question for
actually,
you.
yeah.
Okay, I get this process, but what
Mhm.
I have found that if you end up with a one of your tasks or sessions or part of your sessions, the legs of your sessions produce AI slop, um, fixing it is not feasible. Not that it's too expensive. It actually doesn't often work. It acts as a suggestion to continue the confusion. And at that point, I often, in a non automatic workflow, I will just simply back off. When I'm using Orchestrator, I'll just undo those changes, and I'll just cancel the task and say, restart that one. It screwed up or something. Um, and I get, I was using Opus yesterday, and it was on $7 trying to do this simple thing, and I just went like, screw this, canceled, and then told it to do it again and, restart that. Actually, I didn't even. I just pressed resume. And it just said, oh, I didn't get output from that. And it started again and um, solved it in like $1.34, which was, yeah, I could see that $6.50 going. I mean, if I loop Flash for a long time, I come back and I'm like, oh no, $20, that's terrible. But Opus is like, I went to the bathroom and came back and it was $7. Like, uh, it. So, anyways, how do you deal with this, Michael, without getting context poisoning when you have these slop blips, these in the middle of your automated workflow?
Well, it starts with the Roo rules. That's super important so it knows how to operate. And then after that, the actual app
Mm-hmm.
that I've developed, each one has a different project because each one's deployed. So the one I'm working on right now, it has a public website, it has a admin website, it's connected to the printers behind me, has a Kotlin app, has a bunch of different stuff in it. And so there's different sections of the program. So
Mm-hmm.
uh, it, if it runs the program, there's not a PyTest, it writes the test. Got to execute the test properly. It's got to do the functionality. So it's more about writing the side app to manage the actual root instance. So if you start generating slop, then obviously none of the tests are going to work. Nothing's going to work. So it's truly in a test-driven development process. So write a test, implement this feature. So then the anti-slop checks come in the very beginning when you write the markdown file, or you write the file that you actually want to do the task. So you have to
Yeah.
be a developer and look through that and make sure that, okay, this is what I'm planning to do. This actually makes sense. And as a developer, sometimes we also fail. So if you come back an hour later and realize, well, that was stupid, then you got to clean up your own mess. And I don't think that's ever going away because that's just part of being a developer and a lot of the trial and error process that we go through. So you're never going to truly eliminate the slop unless it's completely
Well,
automated and
hold on.
Claude 10
So
does it or something. Go ahead.
what if at each step, what if in Boomerang, our next iteration of Boomerang tasks, what if at each step there was a check and you did a slop detection? That I'm coining that, okay? Slop detection. Um, Boomerang slop detection. And if it did slop detection, then it just maybe cancels. It doesn't try to fix it. It just walks back a step and tries again.
Well, how do you define slop? What does slop look like?
I mean, I
Well,
Let's
bet
see.
we could
What's the
use
slop
AI
detector?
to define
it
slop.
is, it is if I may, I come from the Ruby on Rails world, and in Ruby on Rails you have
Oh my
slops like
gosh, Ruby? Like
Ruby.
ROO?
And nice.
Sorry, continue. I
I'll
cut you
enter it.
off.
Okay,
Go ahead.
nice catch. Nice catch. In Ruby on Rails, there's this principle called convention over configuration, which means, despite to other frameworks like React or something, there is one way to do things in Rails. There's the Rails way. This is something which is not by code. It's a definition of the community on how we should do things if we code on Ruby on Rails, which is
Mhm.
pretty awesome because as a Ruby on Rails developer, if you get into a new project, you automatically know where to look for what. And you should not. There are some principles like don't repeat yourself and so on and so on. And everything has its place and everything has its way on how things should be done. And test-driven development is one big part of Ruby on
Yeah.
Rails. So what I noticed is because I had this experience where I told Roo Code to get this and this done, and I went away, came back an hour later, and it just worked. And the reason for it is that the LLMs, of course, know of those conventions in Ruby on Rails. So they know that, and if I explicitly tell them, please follow the Rails way of doing things, then it will follow that way. And it is a lot about conventions. Maybe if you let your app run even longer, it will at some point work somehow, But it's maybe not like a developer would do it. Therefore, since you in most frameworks like React, I mean in React you could tell maybe the same LLM 3 times the same ask the same task, and 3 times you will get different components.
Yeah.
In Rails, you won't. You can ask 3 different LLMs to do the same task, and it will produce almost the same code. And since you don't have that in React, for example, you have to bring in those conventions. You have to tell them very explicitly how you want things to be done. And this is, I think, where vibe coders often get frustrated because often you at the beginning you don't know yourself how you want it to look like.
Yeah. Here we have I forget how to say your name again. I'm not good at this speaking. Thibaut? I can't hear you.
You're muted.
He's
No,
the
you're
dude
not
from
muted.
Requesty. Requesty's like Open Router, but sorry
You hear me
to
now?
compare you to Open Router. Requesty's like Open Router, but they offer slightly different services. They do some proprietary handling without screwing up your data to cache and reduce costs in a different way. And they also have some pretty snazzy stats, a dashboard for you. And one of the really, really cool things about Requesty is how you can uh, use them to for your company's API to easily set it up with various employees and different API keys and different reporting, and it's absolutely fascinating. And lastly, sorry to do such a plug, but they also have they're working towards um, certifications to be easily used in the EU. I know that the EU has some pretty strict privacy rules, and so Requesty is really on board with getting that done. I think you said July you're going to be um, done the process.
You hear me? I'm just trying to
I
figure
hear
out
you,
if people can hear me. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so it's Steve. Thanks, Hannes.
Thibaut.
I should hire you as a salesperson for Requesty. But I think, yeah, just about the process and how I work with Roo Code automatically, not on the back end, never let it go for an hour on the back end. But what I do is basically once I have my endpoint done on the back end, I give that schema and structure for the front end and then just go to Roo Code and say, build me 10 different screens knowing this is my schema and my data structure. And then I let it run for an hour. And basically, an hour later, I have 10 different screens and I can basically pick and choose which one I want. So, like, our backend is in Go, our front end will be in React, and I will just basically make the schema, make the endpoint in the backend. And once I have data coming in on my development, I will let Roo Code go crazy and make 10 different either analytics dashboards or any type of cool screens based on the schema we have. And there's way less errors because the backend is made. We have a structure already of how
How
the
do you
data is coming
determine
to the
which one
front
to
end.
use? Do you manually review them, or do you
Yeah.
then feed those to LLM and say, make me a short list?
No, I still manually review them, but at least I can like very quickly after an hour have 10 screens instead of having one where it's worked for like an hour on the one.
Yeah, so you
Now I
don't
have
go an
10
hour and
different
then
views.
go, crap, it's no good, try again. You get all that out of the way. I guess the downside is that when you're looking at 10 of them, you get to the first one and you're like, well, this does exactly what I want. I mean, I guess the other 9 are wasted, but when your
Yeah,
biggest uh I guess the only thing you're running out of in this process is time. So getting it done faster is what you're doing. Even if it costs 10 times more, you're getting way more done because
exactly.
you have 10 hours at once. So no, that's a really good idea. How do you divide your
And
workspaces?
and make sure I have this crazy prompt about components and how it needs to always make very short components that are reusable throughout my whole code. So even if it makes 9 shitty screens, there's still components I reuse. So that's a very important one, is that you make sure that you don't make, 12,000 lines of code in one page.tsx, but use reusable components. And it could make a screen with like one cool graph and the 6 others are bad. I still have that component of that one graph that I can reuse in other screens.
I don't know. What's that noise? Wait, sorry. Okay, I'm closing that window. Awesome. No, thank you very much, Thibaut. I really do appreciate you jumping on the mic. And it's 10 o'clock now. So thank you, everybody, for joining us for Roo Code Community or Office Hours. This is our 8th episode, and we'll see you again next week. See you.